Hey, it's Brock here with Rock Hill Farms. I just arrived at the National Farm Machinery Show. I've got 2 days here at the show, and I think my plan is that day one, today, we're gonna walk the entire show and just give you the experience of being here. And then on day two, all of my favorite booths will get their own videos where we go more in detail. So, should be a lot of fun. Let's get started. Here we've got Altoz, the Altoz Switch. I recorded a thing on this at last year's Equip Expo and lost the footage and never published it. But this is a radical mowing machine. You can put different attachments on them for snow, brush cutting, flail mowers. Most of their machines have tracks, and all of them have versatility to make changes to the equipment. It's like we've got some ballast on the front. So now we're at the Woods booth, and I would say Woods is one of the premier brands in brush cutting. Everything they do is heavy built. Pretty much if I was spending money on a high-end brush cutter, I would go Woods or Bush Hog brand. So here we have a Woods no-till planter. Said you need about a 50 horsepower machine to run this. Man, that's a good sized backhoe. Although to be honest, I'm not a fan of 3-point mount backhoes. It puts a lot of stress on the machine. You do want to add one of these. They don't have to just be 3-point mount. They sell them with a subframe. All right, Fat Boy Crop Pro. I don't know what it is, but it's a humdinger. Kind of like this. They've got some of this equipment that's so big, I don't even understand what it does. This is a company that appears to sell new parts for old tractors. Worthington Ag Parts. So if you got that older machine still in service, they might be something to look up. Also have a lot of accessories for factory cabs. Yeah, this is going to have to be one that I keep the info for, because I do want to rebuild that 1941 John Deere A. Okay, now we are at the Kubota booth. Man, that's a mean looking machine right there. I don't really recall seeing this model before. M62. Wow, that backhoe is enormous. I mean, I know it's a good sized tractor, but this backhoe seems huge. This tractor right here is an absolute monster. I can't even get the entirety of the backhoe in it. When I say that, it's actually a mid-sized tractor. It's only 60 horsepower, but the backhoe on it is enormous. Like this, when I see this, I think of old school tractor loader backhoe, and it's still a removable backhoe, so you can use the tractor for everything else. There's really a lot to like about this tractor. It's got a big analog dash panel off to the side. The ergonomics, it's so roomy. I've already mentioned the backhoe is huge. The only thing I don't like about it is the price. So apparently this machine as it sits is $87,000. And that's a lot of money for what is actually a mid-sized tractor. One thing that it stands out about this to me is the treadle pedal. I've mentioned a lot of times I don't like the treadle pedal, but this treadle pedal is different than what you see on most Kubota tractors. So let me show you that. Your entire foot sets on the treadle pedal. Operate it like this. So there are two types of treadle pedals, the one that you're used to seeing, and then this one comes more on the premium tractors or the bigger tractors. And I think the rocker style, I think it's electric over hydraulic, is a lot more convenient. That was not great. I don't love trying to swivel in this seat. I'm 6 foot tall and my legs are pressed up against this. But once you get turned around, it's got some benefits, like a creeper gear that allows you to move the backhoe. So a lot of times you're trying to move the backhoe or move the tractor with the backhoe, And with this, you don't have to. You can move the tractor from this position. Because this machine feels like it's built around the backhoe, that's why you've got this gauge cluster over here, so you can monitor all that, and you have controls right here too. Kubota checks all the boxes. They make a wide range of equipment, great mini excavators. We got the mini skid steer. I've got to run this one before. I really like their control system and the way their auxiliary functions are set up. There's a Harley rake and a trencher for the mini skid steer. A couple of really nice attachments that I've ran on a full-size skid steer, but I question how well they really perform or how much it beats you up using those on a mini skid. Kubota's got a really nice stump grinder here. It looks like the Baumolite stump grinder I've had in the past, with the 2 articulation points, but it has traditional stump grinder teeth on it. Baumolite and Woodland Mills use like a square carbide tooth, and this has the teeth you would see on a commercial grinder. Kubota honestly makes a lot more variety of attachments than I even realized. I didn't know they had their own wood chippers. Forestry mulchers are one of those wish list items that I haven't been able to justify the price on, but they're so cool to run. This is a brand I've never actually heard of. I have seen this kind of a unit before. Like this, it's called the Hay Buster Big Bite. And it shreds hay bales. I didn't know there was that much need to shred hay bales, but this opening's got to be 10 foot in diameter. And it's got these teeth down here that shred it up and feed it down a conveyor. Here we have Gale skid steers, Manitou. Seems more like material handling than anything else. I think a Stony Ridge farmer has a Gale skid steer. Look at this machine. I say it's really impressive in the design aspects. You've got a massive lift capacity, 8,000 pounds to 22 feet high. So it's a really impressive looking machine. But what I want to grab one of these salesmen and ask is, you know, what is the customer for this? So are these farm machines or are these more industrial applications? These are new machines from Gale. The VT on the model number tells you that it's a vertical boom, which everyone I've talked to pretty much universally prefers a vertical boom as opposed to the radial, and they've finally switched over. These machines are like a smaller version of those Manitous. He said these are used more for industrial and construction. They can lift this full 2,200 pounds and extend it out 14 feet. So to have that amount of lift at that height is, and the fact that it's 4-wheel steer. This machine steers front and back, so you can really walk it into a tight space. So I was kind of asking why someone would spend the same amount on this machine compared to a skid loader that can kind of do more. And that extendable boom is the reason. So now we're at the TYM booth. I'm guessing Tony's over here. He usually hangs out here most of the day. Got some TYM branded attachments. I wonder if they're making them themselves or if they have another company doing it. I heard something that I think TYM may have partnered with Ironcraft, which is one of my favorite implement manufacturers. This is one of the machines Tony has, the T25. And here we've got the TYM 2515. Is previously a Branson model. It's been rebranded after the TYM merger. But this is one of the most capable machines on the market for how small it is. It's roughly the size of my tractor, but can lift 2,500 pounds with only 25 horsepower, which is kind of a crazy combination of stats. Some of these brands is being compact tractor only, and that the ag market is owned by the big names. But this is not a small tractor here from TYM. I think it's 130 horsepower. Massive machine. Got to have a nice talk with Tony from Tony's Tractor Adventure at the TYM booth. Always love seeing him. Now we've got LS and then John Deere. You know, I've been here several hours. I haven't covered 20% of this show. All right, of course, this is the machine I have, so we know all about it. It's a 35G. That's the machine I'd like to have. If it was that easy, I'd probably trade that machine for that one tomorrow. There's a 50G, which is more the machine I'd really like to have. It's probably actually a little too big though, because I couldn't haul it on the trailers I have now. So probably more like a 40G. This is the new 4075 that Deere just came out with this year. 75 horsepower in a compact is pretty crazy actually. It's got the assist buttons for hooking up your PTO, let you move the tractor up, back and forth in creep mode, and raise and lower your lift arms. I think that's a must-have feature on these bigger tractors. Let's see how roomy the cab is compared to some of the others. I gotta say, that 60 horse Kubota I looked at earlier had a much nicer cab layout, and the controls on it were just more convenient to me. Grabbed a salesman from Deere and asked him about this tractor, and it kind of what I assumed was right, that it's still the same loader and the same frame and the same everything else as the rest of the 4R series. So it's not going to lift more, it's not going to have any real extra capabilities except for that PTO horsepower. So I've always said a 4066 was like a dream tractor for me, and this is just that with more power. But I don't know if it's really worth spending more for that extra horsepower. How are you really going to utilize it? He said that tractor only with the loader, nothing else, $58,000. So if you're doing a full package with attachments and a backhoe and everything else, it's going to run up pretty quick. 3E, this is a 3038E. I've been trying to set up a comparison between my tractor and the 3038E because they're very similar. That 3038 has bigger tires, same horsepower, less of the little niceties from the R series. It's about $1,000 more, $2,000 more. This is a John Deere electric mower. Electric mowers aren't really my thing, but they're becoming more and more popular, especially at these shows. Here we've got the BEFCO booth, which BEFCO stands for Best Equipment Farmers Can Own. I did a full talk on theirs last year, or the year before. I did a full video just about this booth. And this is what I'd like to have. I need a hay cutting mower, and I was thinking about a sickle bar mower, but I'd like to have one that can angle up and down hydraulically to use it for mowing around the pond. Here's Bad Boy. Now for Bad Boy, I love their mowing products. This is a Branson tractor with Bad Boy stickers on it. Like I said, there's not really anything wrong with that if you got a good Bad Boy dealer. The difference with the mowers is they engineer everything in-house and build these themselves. A lot of big stuff. This National Farm Machinery show is more for the real farmers, and sometimes not as much for guys like me that are just playing around with a tractor. But they do have both. This is the kind of trailer I need. I have no idea why I didn't buy one this style to begin with. Really hard to load anything onto a trailer with sidewalls. Here we've got Toro. Got that premium My Ride suspension. This machine is clearly used for fending off zombie attacks. My friend Adam from Hometown Acres recently used an auger on his excavator, and I think that's the best way to use one. You got so much control over the positioning. Very easy to place the holes where you need them. Here is WorkSaver, which they make a lot of different things, but one of the things that I have an interest in from them is the adapters from skid steer to John Deere, back and forth.
Here. Rock Hill Farm guy?
Yes, sir. Biggest surprise at this year's show is the number of people who've recognized me and knew my channel name. A lot of times it's 2 or 3 people, and it's been at least 10 today. Rhino Ag is another premium bush hog brand. I interviewed someone from the Rhino Ag sales team last year at this show. Kind of talked about the pros and cons of different bush hogs and different equipment they sell. You almost have to get into the smallest thing they make for it to fit my machine, though. Same company owns Rhino Ag and Dixie Chopper. I don't know which company is the ownership, but it's one company. We've got bush hog. I like the flat top on any cutter. You don't want water standing in the welds and the dividers on the top. That's what my Frontier brush cutter has. You can even get it in pink. Here we've got Fendt, which has mainly always been large ag tractors only, but they've actually come out with a larger compact tractor. I believe it was 50 or 60 horsepower. I saw it at a local show. So that's becoming an option for someone like me. And here we've got Massey Ferguson, which is a brand that for some reason I've never really focused on. I might see if I can get someone from Massey Ferguson to talk to me a little bit about their compact tractors tomorrow. In my recent Yanmar video, I said that I had covered every brand of compact tractor, but I'm not sure if I've ever really talked about Massey Ferguson. And I know specifically that I've got several viewers who own Massey Ferguson. I focus on the most are 40 to 70 horsepower, because that's what I'd like to have. But this is by far the highest volume sales of tractor. 25 horse subcompact. 1723, so I'm guessing this is actually a 23 horsepower. I have more premium suspension seats, which I would love to add to my tractor, but he said he would have one, and then he looked in the book and he said that the 2038 was one of the only models they don't have a premium seat for. But if you wish you had a better seat, Abilene Machine is one place you can get them. Okay, so this is cab cam. I actually have personal experience with this because when I ordered my skid steer, John Deere didn't have cameras available at the time. So rather than waiting on them to get one, I accepted a cab cam as an alternative. I wonder how hard it would be to put one of these on my tractor. If you just wanted a tractor camera, say you wanted to be able to see your stump grinder or whatever you got behind you, I've had several different ideas for applications. Looks like the cheapest one you can get is $384. Easy self-install. And I can tell you it gives a high quality image. So I just ran into Old Iron Acres here on YouTube, and always nice catching up with someone else that I've met online but not in person. So tell them real quick what your channel's about.
Sure, thanks. I just have a farm we bought, about 75 acres, and we're trying to renovate it. It was abandoned for 20 years, so we've got projects everywhere. And we love watching Brock's channel and all his great content.
And your tractor's a 5075 John Deere?
5055E.
He's got one of the big ones.
So, but I got to figure out how to get the most out of it. And I'm always inspired by Brock beating up his equipment. It makes me push my stuff harder and harder until I break it. Then I got to go watch a YouTube video on how to fix it.
I mostly break stuff I can fix. Easy machine is called a lagoon crawler. It's for sucking out a lagoon. Crazy the machines that they come up with. I always stop and look at the Jenkins Iron and Steel. I would love to have a stump grinder for the skid steer. I've got a new stump grinder for the tractor that I haven't shown on the channel yet, but it would be really nice to be able to run one of these from a heated and air conditioned cab, have great visibility without turning around. Awesome equipment. And this is really a small business manufacturing all this. So here's a tractor brand that I don't know anything about. The only time I've ever seen this is here at this show every year, that they make some giant tractors. It's an impressive machine. I wonder what their dealer network is like. I've said it a couple times before, but if I was buying a skid steer again, I would get a JCB instead of the John Deere. One reason I originally went John Deere is my existing relationship with the dealership, but I love this side entry door and the single boom, and it's price comparable to the John Deere unless you want the extendable boom. The extendable boom is a great feature, but it adds $15,000 to $20,000 and reduces the amount of weight you can actually carry with it when you're extended out. Very convenient to be able to get in and out of the cab from the side. One thing I didn't know about JCB is that all of their skid steers are 75 horse, which is what I have. And I did that because I didn't want DEF, and that's why they do it. They just have found ways to get more power out of a machine without going over 75 horse. All right, here is the Baumolite display. As you guys know, I've ran their skid steer and trencher, mini skid steer, trencher, and stump grinder. All great equipment so far that they've got. Like, the stuff I have from Baumolite is the smallest stuff they make. They make a lot more that's big industrial stuff. Like, here's a mulcher. We got the tree terminator here. Not even sure who this is made by. All right, here is Ironcraft. I've done full videos from Ironcraft before. Got some awesome Ironcraft products. I may spend some more time over here tomorrow. Got a drum mulcher. Those things are pretty wild, but I don't know if my machine could handle it. Notice they've really done some nice branding and badging here. Coyote booth. They are one of the few companies, along with Yanmar and possibly Kubota, that actually design and build the entire tractor from the ground up instead of sourcing it out from other manufacturers for each component. Offering the skid steers is brand new to Coyote. I think I saw this for the first time a year ago at one of these shows, and it wasn't even for sale yet. People said it's a copy of a Kubota, but it's really not. It's got a lot of differences. They use the same pull-down handlebars and have that same overhead door, but Kubota's not the only company with split handles and overhead door. Alright, so here we have a Coyote 4720. I've got to run a few Coyote tractors, but never one quite this big.
Yeah, we find one. You can thank John Deere for that. How was that? There's the one that started it.
Coyote does have big machines too. Man, for the size of this tractor, it seems really narrow. Is that my imagination, or is that loader narrow for a machine that big? Model number says 1151, so Guessing that's 115 horse. All right, guys, I've made it through about 2/3 of the show, but I am tired out. I actually hadn't posted a video in a couple days because I've been sick and I felt like I was over it, but I've gotten tired in a hurry today, so I feel like my energy's been way down. Anyway, I appreciate you taking time to watch the video. I'll put links on the screen to a couple more of our videos, and I'll see you next time.